I want to introduce you to 5 psychological factors that are oftentimes underlying shiny object syndrome that I have found so far. Let us dive in. So when we're considering shiny object syndrome, there are 5 psychological triggers for agency owners to be aware of. Point 1 is seeking emotional fulfillment through the business. I see that a lot of agency owners do very well when they have the ability to pick seemingly boring businesses. Just 2 hours ago, I had a call with a gentleman who does list activation services, among other things, for proven and tested brick and mortar businesses like chiropractors, for example. Basically, he sends an offer to their existing list to reactivate them, get them back in the door, and making the chiropractor more money. Very boring. But on the other hand, also very profitable because it can also be scaled. But if you were to evaluate that opportunity based on what makes me fulfilled, what is something that will make me happy, then you may reject this opportunity. And this is a trap that I see a lot of people fall into, and I would like you to not fall into that trap. When we get our fulfillment from external sources, we may evaluate the decisions differently, and we make excitement-driven decisions rather than profit-focused decisions, which when we are already fulfilled, right? Point number 2 is fear of commitment oftentimes masks the fear of failure. So you see, do I commit myself to this path, right, to one path, or do I keep the options open? And here we then branch off in numerous different directions. So constantly switching directions often disguises a deeper fear. Commitment to one path means risking failure with no excuses. Keeping options open feels safer. It feels safer seemingly, not in actuality. Meaning, when you actually commit to one path, then all the opportunity opens up within that. But we think, what if one thing doesn't work? What if I can't make it work? What would it say about me, right? So there's the fear of failure, of what if I can't. There is the deeper fear below the fear of failure, meaning, what would that say about me if I did everything right and I committed to one niche and one niche only, and I still would not be able to make this happen? Now, there's also the fear of success, of what other people would think of me. Would I lose some friends that may perceive me in a different way? Will I potentially not be seen as the person that I currently am seen as, and will people take advantage of me? Will I surpass a parent or a friend that I hold in high respect and I don't want to hurt them? All of these are psychological forces that can influence the fear of failure and masking committing to one path and the hesitancy towards that. Point 3, status seeking over substance. That's very important. A lot of entrepreneurs want to be seen and known and recognized for what they are and who they are and what they do. And part of that is in every human being. But if we make our decisions only based on how this business is going to make me look, then potentially we will make decisions based on criteria that may not be necessarily right for us. We would then evaluate when we make the decision of how would I sound on a dinner table when I'm saying this, or when I'm basically introducing my business, when I'm talking about myself, right? When I tell other people about what I do for work and for a living. So what do you do, right? How would that make me look? Instead of making actually substance-focused decisions, which can lead to a more sustainable, stable, and proven business. Point number 4, impatience for results. Shiny object syndrome thrives when you expect immediate results. When progress feels slow, the temptation to switch to something faster becomes overwhelming. So remember, sustainable success, and I invite you to remember that, comes from persistence in one direction. The fastest path to results is staying the course long enough to gain momentum, right? So you have the impatience, you're running around, you have the patience, you let the time pass, you persist, you gain momentum, and eventually people will know that you have the reputation of being that type of expert. And point number 5, mistaking variety for true growth. The brain craves novelty and misinterprets new learning as progress. Learning about 10 different marketing strategies feels productive, but produces less results than mastering one, which has less of the feeling component to it, but more of the results. True growth comes from depth, not breadth, exactly. And so when we focus on the variety for fulfillment reasons, because we want to get the feeling of variety because that produces a dopamine hit in us, that's why it's also important to find fulfillment in our lives, in our habits, in everything that we are doing in our lives, how we're living our lives so that we don't fall prey to these 5 psychological forces. So if that was interesting and helpful to you, let me know and write a comment, connect with me over LinkedIn, and let's have a discussion. I'd be so happy to help you out with any more pointers that you may need, because these 5 are not exhaustive, obviously. There are all kinds of different shades and nuances and variations on these, and personalization can be beneficial.